Welcome to the Design Build Institute of America's Design Build Delivers podcast. I'm Kim Wright at DBIA's national headquarters. Here at DBIA, we say certification means business because over the years, a rapidly growing number of design build certified professionals have led their teams to deliver some of the nation's most successful projects. Owners and practitioners alike are looking for design build certified team members. So how do you get there, and what's ahead for DBIA's certification program? Today we talked to Jignesh Desai, the chair of DBIA's certification board and senior project manager with San Francisco's Public Utilities Commission, and Bill Kent with Mortensen Construction, who's a DBIA instructor, fellow, and member of the national board. Both have been instrumental in guiding the certification program to new heights as we train future design build professionals. Before we get started, DBIA offers our special thanks to US CAD for partnering with us to bring you this year's episodes of Design Build Delivers. Thank you to Bill and Jignesh for joining us today. We're going to talk about DBIA certification. As we have seen the growth of design build nationwide, we've also seen with it a growth in the need for DBIA certified professionals. So we're going to kind of cover everything from soup to nuts with these two very qualified, very engaged DBIA certification pros. Let's start at the very beginning. What is DBIA certification? It comes in two forms. Just give us an overview of what that looks like. Jignesh, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, thank you, Kim and Bill. It's an honor and privilege to be accompanying you on this podcast about DBIA certification. I was at Water Wastewater Conference in Seattle, and there are so many success stories I heard of projects across the nation that are being delivered via the design build done right. I think one common thread on this successful project is that of having certified DBIA professionals on project teams. The two certification that they both are very prestigious certification, and they are DBIA and Associate DBIA. So in my eyes, both are very prestigious, and they both have its time and place in the professional journey of delivering design build projects. I became DBI certified in 2016, and I know Bill has been around longer than that, and I'll pass it on to him to share some of his thoughts.
And thanks, Jignesh, and then really honored to have the opportunity to talk about DBI certification. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I really believe strongly in it. And as I look back through the years, I think the DBI is always in the mode of improving our processes and what we do. And one of the biggest improvements we made was adding the associate DBIA certification. So when I got certified way back in 2004, there was only the professional. But as an organization, we realized there were some people that are very important to the project delivery process that never take it all the way through completion. And the associate DBIA gives the same level of knowledge without having that on-the-job experience required for the professional. And they're both very, as Jignesh mentioned, both very important. They both show a level of expertise, and all these different types of individuals are important to project success. So very happy to be here and very happy to share my thoughts on DBIA certification.
If I may add, Kim, I became DBIA certified in 2016, and holding DBIA certification demonstrate the mastery of best practices in design build project delivery. I'm so proud to have earned the right to display DBIA after my name. I was so excited. I'm still to date very excited to have DBIA credential after my name. And having DBIA certification also means that we are now identified as a design build end users and part of the community at large of professionals in the design build field. To me, certification program also means of distinguishing those who just do the design build from those who are actually design builder and practitioners. So I just wanted to add that in.
Well, we say, one of our taglines is certification means business, and it really does. I mean, in this case, as the use of design build has grown, we're seeing owners more and more looking for design build certified members for their teams, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I'll start, Bill. The large or small size infrastructure projects that we deliver nowadays must be delivered in the very volatile, uncertain, complex, and sometimes ambiguous environments, what we call VUCA environment. And as projects become more complex, it is so important team leaders are equipped with the skills and attributes that leaders can demonstrate by having certification. So go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that certification means business, but I think in even a bigger picture, certification means success, and that's the whole intent behind our certification process, is to prepare people to be successful contributors to a high-performing team, which ultimately will deliver a project in a form and fashion that owners are looking for, meeting project goals, meeting budget, meeting schedule, and having a great experience for everybody who's involved in it. So I think that's the key to our certification process, is that we are preparing people to be successful contributors to a high-performing team.
Yeah, and Bill, it is important to have certified DBIA professionals on design builder side, but also equally important to have DBIA professionals on owner side, architects, engineers. Even I think it's very important to have some of those on specialty trade contractors. It kind of reminds me of orchestra, right, where everyone on team has their sequence and tune, and the music that gets delivered is very soothing to the audience who actually paid the ticket price, right, to show up at the orchestra. So the satisfaction I get working with DBIA certified professional is very extraordinary and very special, and the assets get in place with so much efficiency and speed up delivery. It's just awesome.
Well, and that stems from, doesn't it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that probably stems from the fact that the focus really is on design build done right. And there's a lot of design build. It may not always be done right, but when you go through DBIA certification, the whole point there is to really focus in on best practices, so that when you come out on the other side, you're speaking the same language, right, Bill?
Absolutely, and the DBIA best practices, again, I mentioned before, we're always in the mode of continuous improvement, and we created our initial set of best practices many years ago, and they've been instrumental to helping us guide people and educate people on how to do design build done right, because the best practices are a set of procedures and processes that, if implemented, they don't guarantee success, but they sure put you on the right path to success. And given over the years, the way design build is being delivered and the quantity of people using design build is evolving. So we are in the process right now of updating our design build best practices. And in doing that, we will also be updating our core curriculum courses for DBIA certification, because we are, as an industry group, committed to providing the industry what it needs to continue to evolve and continue to be successful.
Yeah, from owner perspective, when I'm reviewing proposed teams on my projects that comprises of DBIA certified professional, it actually gives me a sigh of relief, because I know we'll have top-notch collaboration, very effective and timely communication, and excellent integration of the teams. And it's just very special to work with certified folks where we are talking same terminology, same mindset, and same approach to solving problems. So it's very very special to have certified professional on the teams.
And I will add to that, Jignesh, as a practitioners are looking for design build certified professionals to add to their teams to compete for projects for owners like yourself. So it's not only important to owners, but it's also important to practitioners who are putting together the teams that give them the best chance, not only to win the job, but to deliver a successful project.
Well, and Bill, you mentioned, the fact that obviously design build has evolved over the years. As DBIA celebrates our 30th anniversary, we talk about the changes that we've seen in those decades, and it's incredible what the industry has seen and the project that we're delivering, and how design build itself has evolved. But that means that our best practices evolved, and also the certification as well. I mean, we talked about trends. We've already seen 40% growth in certified members in the last 4 years, and who they are has also changed, right? And we're seeing more owners. What are we seeing trend wise as far as who is getting certified?
That's a very good question. And one of the most exciting things for me as both an educator, but also as a member of the DBIA, is to see the amount of owners who see the benefit in what we're providing to the industry. And when I'm teaching a certification workshop, I often have, easily a third of the class from representing owners or owner advisors. And that is always a good thing, because the more owners that are one, using design build, we appreciate that, but two, owners who are committing to not only using design build, but implementing it properly, as Jignesh has mentioned, is really instrumental to the success of design build for everybody.
Yeah, and Bill, when you mentioned you are one of the very talented instructors, and you may or may not remember, I took class from you, the core course, when you were teaching in Oakland, and I was one of your students. So it's really a honor to be on the panel with you today. And you made excellent impression why design build works and how it should be delivered. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, Jignesh. And to add to what I've seen about owners participating in the courses, the best courses or the best workshops we have are when we have a great disparity between who's in the class. If we have an owner, if we have a design builder, a trade partner, a designer, an engineer, maybe even an owner advisor. When we get all those perspectives contributing to what the course content is, that's when we really have a really good, successful knowledge sharing for everybody who's incorporated in that workshop.
And
it actually looks like a design build team, right? It's kind of what you're describing.
Yeah, absolutely. We want the whole design build team in there, because everybody contributes in different ways, but everybody needs to know what they need to do to help that team be as successful as possible. And that's what we're focusing on when we go through our certification workshops.
Yeah, I'm always in my owner's side, encouraging my engineers, project managers, and even the beginner engineers to look into this certification and get the core courses and get into this certification, because it recognizes them as and also helps my projects, right? It's being selfish as well, that we'll have a same tone that we'll be singing and operating under standard procedures that are best design build processes and procedures. So I always encourage my team members to get the education, get certified.
Well, and Bill touched on it briefly too. There's, practitioners they want to work with owners of choice, right?
Absolutely, we do. And as a practitioner, nobody can go after all the design build jobs or all the projects that are out there. We have to pick and choose, and we have a go, no go process. We decide whether we're going to go after a project or not. And one of the key elements in that, especially in design build, is the owner prepared to implement a successful design build integrated delivery process? And some owners are, and some owners aren't. And it's really important for practitioners to see an owner has taken the steps to learn how they can contribute to project success. And they understand that it's not, if they're used to doing design bid build, it's not business as usual. It's going to be a very, very different process, and their approach has to be very, very different.
Jignesh, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, our utility that I work at, we always looking for owner to be choice, and always attempting to think outside of the box, innovate, find different change procedures, protocols often requires in, compared to traditional way of delivering projects. So we are always looking for getting better at and improving so that we can become the owner of the choice for this design build teams.
Are you interested in sustainable design and construction practices but concerned about profitability? USCAD, a Bin0 company, helps forward-thinking ENR top-ranked AEC firms mitigate risk and drive profit through digitalization using Autodesk AEC technology. To learn more, contact uscad.com/DBIA for a free 30-minute consultation. That's uscad.com/DBIA. You mentioned too, encouraging your young staff to get certified early on. And it actually reminds me of the other end of the spectrum where, I've heard long-time design builders saying, well, why do I need to be certified? I've already been doing this for a decade or 2 decades. What's the argument to those who are saying, I don't really need to get certified. I've been there, done that.
That's a very good question. And one of my favorite parts about teaching is when you have those people in the room and they present themselves as I've been doing design build forever and ever. And hopefully they're contributing in class, which they often do. And one of the best parts about teaching is when you see them have an aha moment. And it's either an aha moment or that's why we've been successful because we're doing that, or that's why we haven't been as successful because we're not doing that. And no matter what your experience level, I believe you will always get something. There's always going to be something in the certification workshop which is going to benefit you moving forward. And honestly, some of the most challenging students are the ones who think they know it all already.
Yeah, I totally am with you, Bill. I think they bring their years of experience, and then with this a bit of different mindset and education, I think it's a perfect mix for success. Their experience over the years on traditional, may that be a design side or construct, and now with the design build done right education, they can have a perfect recipe for success and moving forward.
We're talking a lot about owners, but we see builders who have an old design bid build mindset, or designers who have the siloed mindset still. So it's everybody in the project delivery spectrum comes to the class with some preconceived notions or whatnot, and it's part of the instructor's job really is to pull those out and learn from them, but also guide why the new approach or what we're doing differently is going to be so imperative to their success moving forward.
So for those where this whole process is new to them, let's talk about the actual process. We've kind of mentioned the workshops generally, but the first stage, if someone is really interested in investigating design build certification, what's that first step? And then kind of walk me through what they need to do to get certified.
Yeah, Bill, maybe I can start. It's a 3 simple step process as we have written on our website. First step in that process is to apply. The second step is to take the course, and the third step is pass the exam. Now, the application process we have over the years improved to help the applicants to streamline how best they can fill out. But when our board members review those applications, we can connect the dots and make sure that the applicants meet the non-overlapping experience. So some of the things, part of my review when I review my applications, making sure the education is in the correct field that's approved by the DBIA, and then making sure that whether the candidate needs 3 years experience or 6 years, and then we very carefully evaluate their experience, written experience, how they applied, when they applied the principles of design build process that we have in place. So very careful evaluation of their experience occurs. And then last but not least, the references. We look at the references that are required within the application and make sure that they meet what candidate actually perform and use the design build practices. So very careful evaluation of the application happens by our board members. I'll let Bill talk about courses.
Yeah, a couple of things to add on to what you just said, Jignesh, is one, to actually take the certification workshop, you don't have to have an approved application on board, but you go DBIA.org and go to education and look for a workshop that might work for you, and you can sign up through the website. And then after you've done that, maybe after the first day of class, you can start the formal application for your associate or your DBIA certification. And then even before that, I often tell people to start attending DBIA events in their local region. I mean, we're a nationwide organization. We have very strong regions throughout the country, and each region, each chapter are having breakfast events or educational events or whatnot. And that's really a great place to start to get to know people, but also get to know what we're all about. And I think one of the most important things about the DBIA that you'll learn about is that we're here to represent everybody. It's owners, it's builders, it's designers, it's engineers, owners, advisors. We're here to support the entire project delivery process to help everybody do what they need to do to be successful. So once you get signed up for the courses, you'll find that the core curriculum has three full-day courses, and they are full-day courses. There's the Principles of Design Build Delivery, Post-Award, which in principles pretty much takes everybody up to the point where a design build team's been selected. And we go through that process both from the owner's perspective and the practitioner's perspective. So everybody gets to understand what everybody else is doing, which I think is a very important component of this education that we provide. Post-award class is all about what happens after the design build team's been selected. What do design builders have to do? How should owners behave, and how are owners engaged in that process? And the third class is the contract and risk, which is typically taught by an attorney, and it goes into the detail, the differences contractually, differences from a legal perspective and an insurance perspective that design build means for everybody who's involved in the entire process. It's a very concise, but also a very broad band of education that we give in those three courses. And one thing we noticed when we first started teaching the certification workshop, it was a full 4 days worth of classes. And I don't know, quite a few years ago, we changed it to 3 days. We combined 2 of the classes into one of the days. But at the same time, we realized that for busy individuals, being away from your day job 3 days in a row can be very problematic, especially if you have to travel to go to an in-person workshop, because these workshops take an instructor, they take a lot of administrative burden, so we can't have them all the time, so we have to schedule them. But as required by COVID, we started teaching these workshops virtually. And now we offer workshops that are purely virtual or hybrid, meaning there's some people in the classroom and some people on a computer. And that's really opened up and made taking the workshops a lot more convenient for a lot of people. So you can be in New York and be taking a class in Seattle if you don't mind having dinner while you're watching the class, because a 3-hour time difference does make it a little bit challenging. And then also we've in the last year, we've incorporated one other approach to the certification workshop, and that's instead of having 3 consecutive days, we have 3 consecutive Fridays or Tuesdays or whatnot. So it's not day. It's a day of class and a week of work, a day of class and a week of work. But we know the importance of this education. We want to get it out there, and we want to make it as convenient as possible for everybody to take these courses, because it's really important to the success of design build.
Mm-hmm. And if I may add, earlier we talked about 2 types of certifications. So the applications we receive, it could be either for a candidate going for a DBIA certification or associate DBIA certification. And both have to take same courses, core courses, go through same curriculum, everything. The only difference is that for the DBIA professional, we are evaluating their hands-on experience working on design build project. May that be if they have education in the right field that's approved by DBIA, then we check for 3 years experience. And for the field that they're not approved undergraduate degree, then we're looking for 6 years of experience working on design build projects. Whereas associate does not require hands-on field experience, right? So we are looking for their core courses and other aspects of it. And the typical folks going for associate are pre-award professional, focusing on critical aspect of design build process, business development, as a fresh graduate from the school, or students who are still studying engineering degree, they can also qualify for associate certification. So I just wanted to chime in on that one on application process.
And one more thing associated with that is, if you get your initial certification as an associate, as you get experience, you can always transfer that to a professional certification without having to retake the exam or the courses or whatnot. So it's an evolving process all the way through.
There's also one other certification level. In fact, Bill is a DBIA fellow, which was relatively new. We've added that just in recent years to really acknowledge those that have been DBIA certified, who've been professionals in the industry for an extended period of time. Let's talk a little bit about fellows, if you don't mind. Just to give me a quick overview of what all that's about.
Yeah, so the DBIA fellows is another form of certification, the FDBIA, and it's really reserved for the top 2% of DBIA certified professionals, and it's premised on not only your longevity of being a DBIA certified professional. I think you have to have a minimum of 10 years. You have to have been a DBIA certified professional for 10 years, but it also is really based on your contribution to the industry and the DBIA industry organization. So it's not just, I've been certified for 10 years, but I've been certified, and this is how I've helped design build evolve. This is how I've helped owners be successful. And this is my contribution I've made to the Design Build Institute of America. And through that process, and it's a very involved selection process, because it is kind of an exclusive group reserved for that top 2%. but it's a group that's not only is it honorary, but it's also a group that's a huge resource for the organization, because the fellows are always making themselves available to give presentations or to do any type of educational requirements that any organization or any chapter or region might have. So it's a nice feather in the cap towards the end of somebody's career.
Yeah, and if we can move on to the last step, which is pass the exam, and it's not a memory type of exam, right? Where exam questions are very practical, pragmatic, and real life situational type of questions. So a person who is going for exam really has to have that experience of working hands-on on design build to be able to successful in the exam. And the exam is 100 questions. There are 8 areas that the exam questions come from: project management, contracts and legal, general attributes, as Bill was mentioning, the behavior side of it, right? How the owner should behave and how to work together. And then there are other aspects on the project delivery, estimating, specifications is one of the topics on the exam questions, and procurements. And then last but not least and very important is ethics and professionalism. So there are a certain number of questions, part of the 100 questions belong to the ethics and professionalism.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, Jignesh, is our exam and our classes are geared towards making sure that everybody who takes them understands the general concepts of design build done right. So as Jignesh mentioned, we're not asking you to memorize a bunch of tables and memorize a bunch of facts and figures and dates and whatnot, but we are gearing our education towards making sure that you understand the basic concepts and principles required to one, implement design build best practices, and two, as I've mentioned before, be a very successful contributor to your design build team.
And then we love celebrating our new class of DBIA certified professionals each year when we go to our annual conference, because it is something to celebrate. It is an accomplishment that DBIA loves sharing with the world once you join that class every year.
Yeah, I remember even last year, national conference, we had a rally towel which says, "Don't sweat it, design build it, 47% by 2025. So we had a big celebration, and we appreciate and congratulate all the new credential holders every year. So absolutely.
And in addition to that, the DBIA and the certification board, which Jignesh and I are both part of, we take the certification very seriously. And there's expected behaviors of DBI's certified professionals and whatnot. And there's also a commitment to continuous improvement, which I'm sure we were going to get to, but the need for additional educational credits after you've got your certification. You have to have 12 hours of credits per year to maintain your certification moving forward. And that's something that we always want to make sure that nobody's just relying on laurels. We always want to be improving and learning what's happening and keeping up with the trends in our industry. And of course, a great way to get those credits is to start attending DBIA events, whether it be the national conference or the water wastewater conference or the transportation conference, or your local events on your local chapters, which I've already mentioned.
Well, and we also, talking about keeping up, DBIA needs to keep up. And so we are continuously looking at changes and adaptations and improvements that need to be made in all of our curriculum, and certification is included in that. And so, and also then just the process, we're trying to make sure that the process is seamless for our folks. And I know that Jignesh at the certification board is looking at we're already looking at the new renewal process, and also then some new exams and courses coming. So give us a look ahead for both of you about some of the things that we're doing just to keep up with the times and make sure we're serving our teams.
Yeah, so a couple of key initiatives Design Build Certification Board are taking this year. One of them is the examination handbook to supplement the design build certification application process, which will supplement and provide additional guidance to the potential candidates who will be taking this design build certification pathway, and just to streamline and make it more easier and palatable for the applicants to go through the application process. So that's one of the initiative we are as a board working on, preparing a design build certification handbook. And the questions go through our psychometric testing procedures require, to keep up with the industry, the trends, and improving the exam questions and making sure that we are keeping up with the industry nuances that are being applied in our projects. So those are some of the initiatives this year we are working on.
Yeah, and from a course content perspective, we have committees in place right now that are reviewing the three core certification courses, and also creating new content for additional courses in progressive design build, which is one of the trends which has been growing and growing and growing. And it's a great trend. It's a great tool for the DBIA to have in the tool belt to let people know that progressive design build is an option out there. And it's one that we need to make sure that we are progressing our educational materials to address what's happening across the country, which a lot of progressive is really taking off across the country. So it's not going to happen right away because, as I said before, we take our education process very seriously. So we're going to put a lot of thought into the revised course content. We're going to make sure it's up to date. We're going to make sure it's accurate and it represents all the different industries that use design build delivery, whether it be transportation, water, wastewater, commercial construction, industrial. We need to make sure that what we provide to the industry works for everybody, and that's one of the challenges we have when we create our courses. It's also one of the fun things about teaching the courses because we get this input from all these different industry partners who are involved in very different projects, but need to go through the same, utilize the same best practices all the way through their projects.
And I might add one more initiative that we are working. We have a great staff at DBIA helping our certification board as well. And we're working on streamlining application online versus doing a paper copy or PDF file. So I think that's going to make a lot of efficiency for all the applicants and as well as our review board members to review applications online.
Sounds like the most important thing to remember is that design build changes, DBI is changing. We're all keeping up with what's coming down the pike, which certainly in this environment, there's probably a lot to be celebrating. There's a lot of work out there.
There is a lot of work out there, and all the current studies are showing that design build continues to grab market share away from the other delivery methods. So people who haven't been exposed to design build yet are probably going to in the next 2 or 3 or 5 years. And it's always better to be ahead of that curve than behind it. So that's why we're pushing our education as much as we do. And the best thing for design build is for everybody who's doing it to do it successfully. And that's why we have our education, because it just takes one bad project from an owner's perspective or design builder's perspective to give a bad impression of the delivery method. So we're really trying to avoid that, and we're making sure that everybody who's involved in it knows how they need to behave.
And Kim, as you mentioned earlier, we are celebrating our 30th year of design build, forming in 30 years ago. And in terms of number of certification, the growth has been immense of folks who are certified in last few years, as well as willing to certify in future. So we'll be busy reviewing application, and we encourage everybody to look into the certification program, and we welcome you on a board to get certified and join us on this journey.
So be sure and keep an eye out for important updates and improvements coming to DBIA's certification process this year. You can find everything you need to start your certification journey on our website at dbia.org/getcertified. And thank you to USCAD for their support of our Design Build Delivers podcast. Find out more at uscad.com/DBIA.